Hi, Matthew's Superstars. It's Mrs. R, and I'm back with a few more chapters of Lulu is Getting a Sister. Okay, we left off on chapter 5. Remember, Lulu was going to the Sisters in Training camp, and Call Me Debbie, her school counselor, happened to be the counselor at the camp as well. And Lulu did not like that very much. Chapter 5. After Call Me Debbie had shown off and sent off the little kids, she handed out a list to each SIT, Sisters in Training, a list of sisterly tips that would help to she assured them, of a wondrous, life-expanding time at Camp Sisterhood. Lulu went back to her cabin where, before curling up with her favorite vampire book, she impatiently looked over the sisterly tips list. Tip 1, never forget that you're here to get yourself used to having a little brother or sister. Treat the boy or girl you've been assigned to as if he or she really is your brother or sister. Try to find things to love no matter how hard it is to find them about your little brother or little sister, and always try to remember that there are things he or she finds hard to love about you. What kinds of things, Lulu wondered, would a little sister or brother possibly find hard to love about her? She couldn't think of any, not a one. Tip 2, try to choose activities that you and your younger sibling will both enjoy. If these involve competing with each other, like racing or board games, be nice and let her or him win some of the time. This tip made no sense to Lulu, who wondered how, if she was competing, she could be nice, especially because it was hard enough for her to be nice when she wasn't competing. Tip 3. When your younger sibling is making a birdhouse or bookmark in arts and crafts or figuring out a clue in a scavenger hunt, you need to be patient. Let him or her make mistakes or take a long time or say, "I can't do this," before you gently, kindly offer to help. No rolling of the eyes, no heavy sighs, and you're never allowed to say, "You messed up again." Or, "How dumb can you get?" Or, if there are tears, "Wah, wah, big crybaby." So what exactly, Lulu wondered, are you supposed to say when the dumb crybaby messes up again? Tip 4. There will be no biting, scratching, kicking, hair pulling, foot stomping, punching, poking, or pinching, even if your younger sibling bites or scratches or kicks you, or pulls your hair, or stomps on both your feet, or gives you a punch or a poke or a pinch or whatever. Instead, you'll explain to her or him that we at Camp Sisterhood deeply believe in nonviolence, that no one is ever permitted to hurt someone else, and that when we're mad or sad and really want to zap somebody, we use respectful, sisterly words instead. Lulu completely agreed that we ought to use words whenever we're feeling mad or sad, but first, a zap. Tip 5. Perhaps the hardest problem a big sister has to face is sharing with younger sisters or brothers. Sharing a room, a dessert, certain games, certain toys. In addition, because they can't help it, a younger brother or sister will take and mess around with stuff that is only yours. Completely yours. So unless you really love sharing, which you probably don't, though it would be great if you did, you need to find a firm but pleasant way to tell your sibling, "That's yours, this is mine." To which we suggest you sweetly add, "And if you want to use mine, you must first ask my permission," rather than a not so sweet, "And keep your grubby hands off my stuff or else." You can tell Lulu's really excited. Chapter 6. The morning after Lulu arrived, having passed an uncomfortable night and talking herself out of needing to go to the bathroom, the Sisters in Training began. Each SIT was assigned her own little sister or brother to be with 4 hours a day, 6 days a week, on either a morning or an afternoon shift. And just in case you're wondering, yes, I've done the arithmetic right. It's 40 kids for 80 SITs. Because if you're paying attention, you'll see that each of the Sisters in Training gets a kid for only half a day. And regarding Lulu's question that if you truly couldn't stand the kid you were given, could you exchange him or her for somebody else? The answer is no. And also, in case you're wondering, the sisters in training never practice on babies or on brothers or sisters under 5. The reason for this, which you'll need to ask your mom or your dad to explain, has to do with something called insurance. And no, once again to Lulu, who once again is asking the question, if you truly hated the kid, could you trade her in? Like the baby your mom will be bringing home, your approval doesn't matter. You and the kid are together for the duration. During this duration, they were told, each SIT and her kid will engage in many kinds of outdoor and indoor activities, in the course of which the SITs will learn to treat their little brothers and sisters with niceness and kindness and sweetness and sibling love. The SITs were also warned, however, that there were bound to be a few problems along the way and to be prepared for some disappointing behavior. Because even the dearest and sweetest of children will sometimes do what they shouldn't and get on your nerves. Hey, what a shock! And even the nicest of SITs will sometimes lose their patience and get annoyed. Who would have thought? But there's nothing you need to worry about. The SITs were assured, since a parent would always be lurking in the background, keeping his or his eye on things, but never interfering, unless something really bad was to occur. So who decides, asked Lulu before she went off with the kid she'd been given. Who decides when something's about to go bad? I guess we'll find out, the kid answered, even though Lulu wasn't asking her. But now I want to tell you all about me. So we see Lulu, and she's wearing a Camp Sisterhood shirt, and I think that's her little assigned sister. Chapter 7. Lulu was not in the mood for friendly conversation, grabbed the kid's hand and headed out the door. But there was a second of silence because this pint-sized, blue-eyed, button-nosed, frizzy-haired talking machine started talking and never shut up. So, hello, I'm Mitzi. I'm 8, well, practically 8, and I'm a twin, and my birthday, well, both of our birthdays is August 9th, and my favorite color is silver, and my favorite song is Somewhere Over the Rainbow, and my favorite movie is I Still Can't Decide, and I love doing cartwheels and jumping rope and lots of other fun things like, and without even taking a breath, she raced through a very long list of those other fun things, pausing finally to ask an impatient finger and foot tapping Lulu, but there's one thing I'm super good at. Want to guess what it is? Just tell me already, said Lulu. Let's get this over with. Scrabble, said Mitzi. Scrabble, I can play that game better than practically anyone else. No matter who I'm playing against, even boys and girls who are older than you, I usually win. Scrabble? You know about Scrabble, right? But in case you don't, I'm going to try to explain it to you fast. Each player starts with 7 small tiles, each of which has its own letter. So these are some Scrabble tiles. These letters are used to make words on the Scrabble board. Some of the letters will get you high points, and so will some of the words if they're placed on spaces that double or triple your score. So if you're clever about where you're placing your words, and if you know lots of weird words using X, Q, and Z, you'll be the player who gets the most points. You'll be the high scorer, you'll be the winner of the Scrabble game. Lulu, you won't be surprised to hear, wins most of her Scrabble games. She beats her dad and her mom and her grandma Gertie. She expects to win whenever she plays, which is why she's feeling annoyed, but what this not yet 8-year-old Mitzi is saying. In fact, she is feeling extremely annoyed that the little kid seems to believe that if she played Scrabble with Lulu, she, Mitzi, would win. So, you're super good, growled Lulu, pulling Mitzi into Camp Sisterhood's indoor games cabin. We'll see about that. Sit down, we're playing Scrabble. Less than an hour later, Mitzi had beaten Lulu badly by using outrageous words like OXO and ZARF and getting extra points by using all 7 of her letters to make another dumb word that no one had heard of. If you're wondering what that word was, I'm happy to tell you it's cacique. a kind of bird. If you're wondering what the score was, I've decided not to tell you. It's too embarrassing. Mitzi wasn't worried about embarrassing. She jumped up out of her chair and twirled around in a victory dance, and then she shouted maybe like 100 times, "I won! I won! I won! I won! I won!" After which she cheerfully said to a very uncheerful Lulu, "And what do you have to say about that, older sister?" Lulu narrowed her eyes and not too nicely answered Mitzi, "I've got 2 things to say to you. 1, I'd rather have a cavity, a bellyache, a blister, a splinter, or mosquito bites than be your older sister. So you can just stop calling me that right now. And 2, sit down. We're playing another game." This time, the Scrabble game went a whole lot faster. It ended with Mitzi having the higher score. And after she danced her victory dance and did her I wons once more, Lulu, red in the face, said, "We're playing again." They played again, and yet again Mitzi beat Lulu, and yet again Mitzi danced her dance, and I won. As Lulu was clearing the tiles from the board so they could start the next game, Mitzi objected, "We're not supposed to be inside all morning." She said, "We also need to be outside going swimming and doing other fun things, but all we've done for almost 4 hours is played Scrabble. I really want to go swimming before they ring the bell for lunch, and besides, it's boring beating you all the time." Uh-oh, Mitzi had just gone too far. Way too far. For along with all that shouting and dancing whenever she beat Lulu, she was now nya-nya-nya-ing, rubbing it in. Nobody dares to treat Lulu that way unless, like Mitzi, they simply don't know what they're doing, or they foolishly think that it might be amusing to see how Lulu gets ready to throw a tantrum. It is not amusing. Lulu's face, which was already red, became redder. Her hands clenched into fists. Her eyes kind of popped. And although steam actually didn't and actually couldn't come out of her ears, anyone looking at Lulu might think that it had, which is why a mother, one of those parents, remember, who lurked in the background, decided that something bad was about to occur. And why, just as Lulu was getting ready to throw herself down on the floor and do her heel-kicking, arm-waving, screeching until all the light bulbs burst, tantrumy stuff, this mother dashed out from the background and poured a bucket of water on Lulu's head. Lulu is mad. "You shouldn't be a sore loser," said Mitzi. "You shouldn't be a rude winner." Okay, that leaves us at chapter 8. And I'm going to stop there because let's find out next time what happens with Lulu and her little sister, Mitzi. You guys, I have a feeling that before there's any good, there's going to be a few more bad things that happen. Was Lulu being, a gracious loser? No, she was being a bad loser, right? And that Mitzi, boy, can she play Scrabble. So, superstars, I will see you next week. Go outside, get some of this sunshine, and, read a book, okay? I'll see you next time. Bye.